Seniors, constipation relief in minutes. Do this when your gut shuts down. 1 in 3 adults on this planet deals with constipation. And I don't mean once in a while. I mean constantly, week after week, the kind that never really goes away, the kind that quietly shapes how you plan your whole day. Here's the part that should stop you in your tracks. 9 out of 10 of those people walk into a pharmacy, grab the first box they see, and walk out with something that's quietly making the problem worse. They're spending their own money, sometimes month after month, on a fix that, over time, can hurt the very organ they're trying to help. Nobody warns them. Nobody tells them what's actually happening inside their body every time they reach for that same box. I've spent years digging into this, reading studies, talking to people who've lived through it, listening to what doctors actually say off the record versus what gets printed on a label. And I finally got tired of watching the same thing play out over and over without saying something about it. Let's start with what most people reach for first. It's also the thing that tends to cause the most damage down the road. When your gut slows down, your first instinct is to head to the store. And the very first thing on the shelf is usually something made from senna leaves. Doesn't matter which brand you pick up, they're all built on the same formula. No prescription needed, cheap, and the package says plant-based, so it feels harmless. That's exactly the problem. That natural-sounding label is hiding something a lot less gentle than it looks. Senna leaves contain compounds called anthraquinone glycosides. Once they reach your large intestine, these compounds activate and start aggressively irritating the nerve endings lining your colon. Your colon reacts the way anything would react to constant irritation. It spasms hard and forces everything out. You feel relief, so you assume it worked. But here's what's actually happening underneath that relief. Your gut runs on its own nervous system, separate from your brain, sometimes called your gut's second brain, and it behaves the way any nervous system does. It adapts to what you throw at it. Think about how a loud noise stops startling you after you've heard it enough times. Your body just tunes it out. Your colon does the same thing. Hit those same nerve receptors with the same harsh signal again and again, and eventually they stop responding the way they used to. Their sensitivity drops. Over time, the nerve fibers running through your colon wall can thin out. This isn't a maybe. Doctors can actually see these changes when they look. There's a name for this in medicine, cathartic colon, sometimes called melanosis coli. Melanosis means the lining of your colon can darken, sometimes turning a deep brown. That happens because cells in the lining are breaking down faster than normal and leaving pigment behind as they go. When a doctor looks inside during a colonoscopy, a colon that's been exposed to senna for a long stretch can look noticeably darker than it should. Here's what that pattern can look like in someone who relies on senna regularly. Week 1, 1 tablet does the job. Week 3, it takes 2. Week 6, 3 tablets. A few months in, nothing works without it at all. The bowel starts losing its own ability to move without help. Someone comes in dealing with occasional constipation and ends up dependent on a laxative just to function normally. That's not a rare side effect. That's the pattern doctors see again and again with regular senna use. So here's where I land on this. Personally, after everything I read and everyone I've talked to, I wouldn't reach for senna-based laxatives as a regular habit. And if you're already leaning on them every day, that's worth a real conversation with your doctor before you change anything. There's a gentler path here, one that works with your body instead of forcing it. And I mean, actually works, not just empties you out once and leaves you right back where you started. So let's get into what actually works. Not something that just empties you out once, but something that helps your body remember how to do this on its own, the way it used to before things slowed down. What your gut actually needs is something that does 4 things at the same time. It gently encourages those wave-like muscle contractions that move things along. It coats and protects the lining of your gut. It feeds the good bacteria living in your colon, and it gives the cells lining your intestine real fuel to work with. Those wave-like contractions are called peristalsis, and when they slow down or lose their rhythm, that's when constipation shows up. It really is that simple. Once you understand what's actually going on underneath, the answer is flaxseed, 2 tablespoons. And before you scroll past, because you've heard this one before, stick with me, because the way most people use flaxseed gives them almost none of its benefit. And that's the part nobody explains. Flaxseed has protein, healthy fat, carbs, and 2 different kinds of fiber. Soluble fiber is the kind that turns into a thick, gel-like substance the moment it touches water. That gel is where the real benefit lives. Insoluble fiber doesn't dissolve at all. It physically brushes against your colon wall as it passes through, gently triggering those muscle contractions. Put together, these two fibers create slow, steady, completely natural movement through your gut. No spasms, no force, nothing harsh, just your body working the way it's supposed to. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They eat the seeds dry, straight out of the bag. Dry flax seeds are tough, hard to digest, and can actually irritate the soft lining inside your gut. You need to soak them first. Here's exactly how. Take 2 tablespoons of whole flax seeds, cover them generously with room temperature water, and let them sit overnight, at least 8 to 10 hours. If you're soaking them longer than a day, pop the bowl in the fridge so they don't start to ferment, which would do the opposite of what you want. While they soak, the outer shell softens and that soluble fiber starts releasing into the water, forming a thick gel around each seed. That gel is the part doing the real work. It coats your gut lining from your stomach all the way down to your colon. If you deal with stomach irritation, this gel can help calm that down. If the irritation is further down in your bowel, it helps there too. It also creates a slicker, more lubricated path that makes everything move through more easily. One important thing, after soaking, don't rinse the flax seeds. That soaking liquid is full of fiber and the good stuff that leached out overnight. Pour it down the drain and you've thrown away the most valuable part. Use the seeds and all that liquid together. Now add sesame seeds, also soaked overnight separately. Sesame is rich in calcium. And that actually matters here, not just as a nutrition fact you'd see printed on a cereal box. Calcium plays a direct role in how muscle cells contract, including the smooth muscle in your intestinal wall, the same muscle responsible for moving everything along. Without enough calcium, those muscles don't contract the way they should, and things tend to stall. Sesame also brings zinc, vitamin E, and healthy fats that support your gut lining and help keep it resilient. Unlike flaxseed, you can rinse sesame through a fine strainer after soaking just to clear off any surface debris before it goes into the blender. Put the soaked flaxseed with all its liquid plus the rinsed sesame seeds into a blender. Now let's talk about what goes in next and why each piece matters. Start with berries. Any kind works. Blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, black currants. Berries bring pectin, another type of soluble fiber known for calming inflammation in the gut lining. They're also packed with anthocyanins, the pigments that give berries their deep color, which protect your gut cells from everyday wear and tear. Add 3 or 4 prunes next. People have used prunes for this exact purpose for thousands of years, and we now understand why. Prunes contain sorbitol, a natural sugar that pulls water into your intestine, which softens stool and helps it move. They also contain compounds that directly encourage those wave-like contractions to keep going. Then a banana, ripe or slightly underripe. Both work, but in different ways. Banana brings natural sweetness and potassium, a mineral your intestinal muscles genuinely need to function well. Low potassium can slow everything down. A slightly underripe banana also has resistant starch, a type of carb your small intestine can't break down, so it travels intact to your colon and feeds the good bacteria living there. A riper banana gives you quicker energy and a gentler effect on blood sugar. Add a handful of fresh greens, too. Parsley, dill, cilantro, spinach, whatever you got on hand in the fridge. Greens bring chlorophyll, folate, vitamin K, and magnesium. Magnesium deserves a real explanation because most people don't realize what it's actually doing here, and it's probably the most misunderstood piece of this whole routine. Magnesium relaxes smooth muscle, which sounds backwards for something meant to help you go almost counterintuitive if you think about it for a second. But here's the thing. A lot of constipation isn't actually a sluggish colon. It's an overcontracted one, squeezing in a disorganized way without producing any real forward movement, kind of like a traffic jam where everyone's pressing the gas, but nobody's actually moving. Magnesium calms that down and helps restore a steady, productive rhythm. On top of that, it draws water into your intestine, softening stool from the inside out. Now the spices, starting with turmeric. Turmeric contains curcumin, one of the most researched natural anti-inflammatory compounds out there, with thousands of studies looking at how it affects the digestive system. The findings keep pointing the same direction. Curcumin can calm inflammation in the gut lining, ease intestinal spasm, and support healthy bile flow. Bile is the fluid your liver makes and your gallbladder stores, and it plays a direct role in keeping things moving. Add cinnamon too, which can help with blood sugar balance, reduce bloating, and gently ease spasm. Cardamom rounds it out, used for digestive trouble across plenty of traditional healing systems for centuries, and modern research backs a lot of that up. It can ease nausea, support digestive enzymes, and calm cramping. If you don't have flaxseed on hand, chia seeds work as a substitute. Same basic idea. They form a gel when soaked. They're rich in omega, 3S, and soluble fiber, and they only need about 30 minutes to soak instead of overnight. Once everything's in the blender, add a splash of hot water. This isn't just for taste, it actually matters physiologically. Cold food and cold liquid tend to slow down your digestive tract, while warm food helps things move along. You want this smoothie warm, not cold. Blend until smooth, then right at the end, stir in 1 to 2 tablespoons of cold pressed vegetable oil. The oil does 2 things. It helps lubricate your gut from the inside, and it dramatically improves how well your body absorbs the fat-soluble vitamins from the greens and berries, vitamins A, D, E, and K. Without some fat in the mix, those vitamins mostly just pass through unused. Quick word about the packaged fiber products you see in pharmacies and grocery stores. The bags labeled fiber, supplement, or wheat bran for constipation. Here's what they actually are. Dry, hard particles that have never been soaked and never formed a gel. Without that gel, dry bran doesn't have the protective coating that soaked flaxseed gives you. It's rough, and in a gut that's already moving slowly with limited water, those dry particles don't slide through easily. They can stick to the intestinal wall and sit there. Instead of helping things move, they end up adding resistance and slowing things down even more. Pretty much the opposite of what the package promises. Stick with soaked whole seeds, not dry powders from a bag. So when do you actually drink this smoothie? In the morning, after you've already had some water. And water deserves its own conversation because without it, everything else we've covered only works at half strength. Constipation and dehydration are almost always connected, just showing up in different ways. Here's why. As food moves through your large intestine, your colon naturally pulls water out of it. That's completely normal. But when you're chronically underhydrated, your body shifts into conservation mode and your colon starts pulling even more water than it should, leaving behind something dry, dense, and hard to move. That's the mechanism behind dehydration-driven constipation. And it's incredibly common. The fix starts the moment you wake up, before coffee, before breakfast, before anything else, even before you check your phone. Drink about 2 cups of warm water, slowly, not all at once. Give your stomach time to take it in. Rushing it doesn't help. Warm water triggers something called the gastrocolic reflex, an automatic response where your stomach filling up sends a signal to your large intestine to start strong, coordinated contractions and get ready to move things along. That's actually why a lot of people feel the urge to use the bathroom shortly after their morning coffee. It's not really the caffeine, it's the warm liquid setting off that same reflex. We're using the exact same mechanism here, just without the caffeine and without the jittery side effects that can come with it. Now, mineral water, because not all mineral water works the same way. The thing that matters most is how much mineral content it actually has. Waters with a higher mineral concentration, sometimes labeled medicinal or medicinal table water on the bottle, work a bit differently than regular water. The dissolved minerals draw fluid into your intestine, which physically softens stool from the inside. If you can find a mineral water that lists a noticeably higher mineral content on the label, especially one rich in magnesium, that's worth looking for specifically. As we talked about with magnesium earlier, it can ease intestinal tension while also pulling fluid in to help things move. One rule I'd stick to: buy mineral water in glass bottles, not plastic. This isn't just a preference, it's chemistry. Plastic can release tiny particles and compounds into liquid it's stored in, especially water with higher mineral content, which tends to be more reactive over time sitting on a shelf. Researchers have found microplastic particles showing up in human blood, lung tissue, and other places we really wish they weren't, and that's an area scientists are still actively studying. Glass doesn't interact with what's stored in it the same way, so when you have the option, glass is the safer choice, even if it costs a little more or means an extra trip to find it. Before drinking, let it sit out for a bit, pour it into a glass, and give it a few minutes so the carbonation settles down. That matters because carbonated water in a gut that's already sluggish can mean extra gas and bloating, which is the last thing you need right now. Drink it warm and flat, not cold and fizzy. One important caution here, higher mineral water isn't something to drink in large amounts every single day. Used regularly during an active stretch of constipation, a glass or two on an empty stomach in the morning is reasonable. But if you have high blood pressure or any kind of kidney condition, please talk to your doctor before making this a daily habit, since that extra mineral and salt load can put real strain on your kidneys and your cardiovascular system over time. For everyday hydration outside of that, regular drinking water is exactly what you want. Here's what to expect when you start this routine. And the most important thing is patience, because this builds gradually, not overnight. Don't expect something dramatic on day one. For a lot of people, the bloating and heaviness in the belly starts to ease within the first few days, and any cramping tends to settle down around the same time. As your body adjusts, the bowel starts moving more actively on its own, and for some people, the first real response feels like a lot all at once. That's not a problem. That's just your gut finally getting what it's needed for a while. Here's something worth knowing about how this changes with age. After your mid-40s or so, intestinal movement naturally slows down a bit. Digestive enzyme production decreases slightly. Nerve sensitivity in the gut lining isn't quite what it used to be, and the protective mucus your gut produces tends to drop too. None of this is a disease, it's just normal aging. But it does mean something that clears up in 2 days for someone in their 20s might take a more consistent patient approach if you're in your 50s or 60s. This same routine works at any age. The difference is mainly in timeline and consistency. I'm curious, how old are you? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to know which age groups are actually watching, because the next videos on gut health I put together are going to be built around where you really are, not some made-up average. So here's exactly what to do once you're done watching. Tonight, take 2 tablespoons of whole flax seeds and cover them with room temperature water. If you've got sesame seeds, soak those separately too. Let everything sit overnight, at least 8 to 10 hours. And if you've got senna-based laxatives sitting in your cabinet, this is a good moment to take a closer look at how often you're actually using them. If it's becoming a daily habit, that's worth bringing up with your doctor rather than just continuing on autopilot, since regular long-term use is linked to changes in the colon that are genuinely hard to reverse. That's not me trying to scare you, that's just something worth knowing. Tomorrow morning, drink about 2 cups of warm water first, slowly. Then make the smoothie, soaked flaxseed with all its liquid, rinsed sesame, whatever berries you have on hand, 3 or 4 prunes, a banana, a handful of fresh greens, turmeric and cinnamon, the very least, a splash of hot water to keep it warm, and 1 to 2 tablespoons of cold-pressed oil stirred in at the end. Blend it smooth. If you want to add a little extra support, a glass of warm, flat, higher mineral water from a glass bottle on an empty stomach before the smoothie can help too. Just keep that in moderation as we talked about. Give this 5 to 7 days in a row and pay attention to how your body responds. Not how it responds on day 1, but how the whole stretch unfolds. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next videos. I love hearing your thoughts, so please subscribe and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.